The children's program got formed in 1972 after that terrible year where there were 467 people killed. And there was this lady from Belfast. She had two boys and she lived on an interface area. The terrorists by this stage had terrorised the people into living in Catholic or Protestant ghettos. And she couldn't let her children out onto the street, so she wrote to a number of papers in America. And one of the papers, the Fargo Forum, printed her letter to say that she had two boys that she couldn't let out, and that her father lived beside an army base during the Second World War, and they looked after the GA, so you're the American soldiers. And would there be anybody interested in keeping her children during the summer because it was that dangerous in Belfast? And this lady, Ruth LaRue from Fargo, she wrote back and said she would keep her boy for the summer and to send him out. And that is what this Belfast mother done. She sent her boy to Fargo, and he stayed on a 3,000-acre farm there and had a wonderful time. But the stories that he was telling was picked up by the Rotary people who were living in the area, and the president of Rotary was a man the name of Bob Nikoloff, and he was the president of the Rotary that year, and he said, let's make this a charity project for us next year. And the lady from Belfast sent her son in 73, and then Bob Hibbing got the Rotary together, and they brought out 231 children from Belfast in 1974. And that was only a one-year charity project, but it was seen to be that good by not only myself and the lady, Mrs. Hughes, but also a number of people here in America said that this was terrible, that this sort of thing was going on in a Christian part of the world, and we would need to do something about it. So they asked us to form a committee, one on the Northern Ireland side and one here in Minneapolis. And we formed two committees, and we've brought 150 children every year here since. The children's program has changed these children's attitudes to life, and they are now have seen that it's better to live together than kill each other, and it has broadened their whole cultural experience on this diversity, and it's still needed today, because, as I say, the walls are still up, and those communities are still living in their own specific religious denominations. There are Catholic areas and Protestant areas. So the children that we're bringing, for example, this year, live in an area where there is still a 3-meter concrete wall with another 3 meters of wire on top of it. There are 14 miles of peace walls throughout Belfast. And if you were asking me today if these been all taken down, not one has been taken down. And that's why the peace process is a very fragile peace that we have here at the minute. Those folk were all enemies a few years ago. And now we're asking them to sit down and have tea with each other or play with each other. And they're still very suspicious about that yet. But by exposing these children down through the years, they are now the decision makers of today, and they are the ones that are making decisions of whether or not they should go into terrorism or whether they should go to a democratic, peaceful society and get on with life. And that's what has happened. They are now the decision makers, and they've agreed to sit down in a political system and get on with life normally, rather than kill each other over a terrorist ideals. The change that I see in some of the children has been very satisfying, especially when I was a police officer in that area, and you seen the terrorist godfathers asking young children or young boys to move weapons or parts of weapons or explosives or ammunition from one part of the city to the other, and cultivating them into a terrorist campaign where they would kill each other. And when I see the satisfaction that I get out of it, has been amazing, to save lives and to get these people to sit down and live together. What I would like to thank the people, first of all, for is their generosity and kindness in bringing those children, because you people here in the Midwest of America need to be congratulated and are accredited with bringing peace to Northern Ireland. If you wanted to help the children's programme in hosting a child, you could either host the child yourself, pay $1,000, and that's for the airfare and for the insurance. The other way is that you could sponsor a child or have a scholarship, and all you would have to do there would be pay for the fare or the sponsorship, and there are families here in Minneapolis that would keep the children, but they couldn't afford both. So you could do it either of those two ways, or if you wanted just to put a donation in to help the organisers handle expenses such as insurance or such as the cross-community work that they do here in Minneapolis during the summer. I would ask you to go to the website. Go to www.cpni.org or check us out on the email. Our email address is cpni@cpni.org, and you can get in touch with the children's program organisers in Minneapolis here through that, any of those two connections.